Foot. Out. Can I have you jumped up in the live show? Morning, folks. Morning, Barbara. Diane, Lenny, Robert, Paul. Morning, Mr. Milligan. Morning, Stephen. Morning, Nigel. Rosie, Susie. Christ, it's moving fast today. Morning, Raymond. Stuart. There are we 53. My bloody computer's frozen. Yeah, good morning, Sandra. Morning, John, Tina. Morning, Neil. Lavina, good morning. Morning, Robert. Aye, evening, Nige. Morag, what we got, 70. Christ, we're slow climbing a day. Hey, Margaret. Sandra. Morning, Jim. Roy. Stuart. Bruce. Charlotte. Alistair. Where are we at? 85, we're getting there. Morning, Elizabeth. Arthur. 94. Morning, Maureen. Okay. Morning, Karen. 99. Morning, Tricia. You're 100, so let's get this broadcast underway. It's Indytruck Davy out the truck and in the house at his home in Salisbury, where it is a beautiful, beautiful day, 12 degrees, and the temperature is rising. So that's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather's like here? Look out your own bloody window. Alright, so let's get this broadcast underway. We'll start by saying hi to Joan Clark in Australia, who messaged me yesterday and was a wee bit perturbed that I didn't get back to her when she messaged me the first time. I'm sorry, folks. If you're messaging me, most of the time I'm driving. I'm just going to give you a thumbs up. I can't get into it. Can't type and drive or read your messages. Right, anyway, good morning, Sir John. Right, let's go on with the news review. Alright, we'll start with the latest COVID figures. There were 3,618 people tested positive on Tuesday, and there were 1,833 people in hospital, of which 16 were in the intensive care units. 6 deaths were recorded where COVID was a contributing factor in their deaths. So, that's the figures are dropping. Whether the amount tested positive is correct or no, we really don't know because the testing's winding down, alright? So let's move on. Tuesday started with 3 main themes in the rags. First Minister's spoken to by police for forgetting to don a face mask when visiting a barber store in East Kilbride. The Ukraine conflict moves to new phase, and Bojo the Clown to address comments after being fined for flirting or breaking lockdown rules. The Partygate saga, alright. Anyway, move on. Tuesday started in the mainstream media on Partygate. Right, Brandon Lewis, the NI Secretary, was put up in Good Morning Britain to defend Bojo and his law-breaking antics. Right, Brandon Lewis is given a grilling by the presenters who ask him, is the ministerial code of any value anymore? Does there no rules in that bloody place down there? So Brandon Lewis, of course, he's sticking up for Bojo, and he's saying that Bojo didn't willingly mislead the House. Right. Anyway, he's then asked about constitutional expert, Lord Hennessy, who says that Bojo has taken the UK into a constitutional crisis and has shredded the ministerial code. And they asked Brandon Lewis if he agrees with Lord Hennessy, and Brandon Lewis says, no, I'll tell Mr. Hennessy that to his face, he's no right. the ministerial code still has value, my arse has it. Right, anyway, here in Scotland, good morning Scotland, there was the phone-in was on with a Conservative K, and for some reason the BBC here in Scotland seemed to be full of Bojo fans yesterday morning. How the hell did that happen? Where did they find all these Bojo bloody fans to phone BBC Scotland and say, oh, he's a great guy, move on, more important things? Where did they find these morons? Well, obviously found them down the local acting school and paid them. That's when you know you're getting propaganda. When 82% of the population poll say Bojo's a waste of space, a liar, and should be gone, and yet BBC Scotland seem to find millions of people that would stick up for Bojo yesterday. Wow, that's when you know the propaganda's at full propaganda mode. Right, we'll move on. Tuesday, and the latest accident emergency figures are out. Only 2/3 of people were seen in the government's target 4-hour window slot. Alright, now the Scottish Government set that target, and apparently only 66.8% of people were seen within the 4 hours. 2,788 people waited for 2,373 people waited for up to 8 hours, and 944 people waited more than 12 hours. But I'm going to tell you this right now, it's still the best performing accident emergency in the whole of these islands. And actually, when you get down to it, with the hospital still jammed full of COVID patients and not being able to move people on, then actually being able to see 2/3 of the people in the allotted 4-hour period and have them treated and moved on is actually brilliant, considering where we are. Alright, moving on. Tuesday, the Herald reports that the First Minister and Deputy First Minister have held 3 meetings to move Indytruck forward. There was a meeting in January, I think it was January 14th, 2021, another one on the 24th of November 2021, and a third one in February 2022. Now, civil servants are preparing the prospectus for Indytruck 2, and the offer that the Scottish Government is going to make to the people in Indytruck 2, and the subjects that are going to be at the fore in Indytruck 2. Now, the press have approached the civil service to get a reaction and to try and find out more, but the civil service tell them, can he say nothing? Because it might affect future government policy. So the civil servants keeping their gobs shut and no sharing with the press. The Herald also reports that the First Minister he hasn't set a time yet for putting the secondary legislation through for Indytruck 2, but apparently it will be done this year, and according to what the Herald says, the First Minister is determined to go ahead on schedule, no matter whether there's a war in Ukraine or anything else. Alright, now what the Herald also says is that Westminster won't transfer the power, but Westminster's talking crap. They'll come to the table, believe me, they'll want a say. But more importantly, we've already pointed it out, this is Scots law. It only needs the Lord Advocate, Dorothy Bain, to sign it. It's not gone anywhere else to be signed. And once it's in Scots law, it's in Scots law. But the other thing is, that the Herald's also saying that the UK will probably challenge it. That would mean challenge it in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can't do nothing about Scots law as long as it's written correctly. Because all it can do is judge as if a law is written correctly. As to the competence of whether the Scottish Parliament has the power to do it, it has. We give them the power. We elected them. We the people are sovereign. So it would appear that Indytruck 2 is going to go ahead, alright. And that will explain why the Scotland office is dragging money for departments all over the UK to spend on ads to promote the UK here in Scotland. Right, moving on. Tuesday, and the Department of Work and Pension are ordered by the Equalities and Human Rights Commission to draw up a legally binding action plan to address its mistreatment of the disabled and mentally ill claimants. Now, the DUP's persecution of the disabled and mentally ill claimants had the EHRC gone off its dinger. But any user that have been watching this vlog of mine for a long time will know it's one of Davy's tub thumpers. I've been going on about how the disabled have been getting persecuted for years now with this Tory government. And Davy's very glad to say that the Equities and Human Rights Commission has stepped in and told the Department of Work and Pensions to bloody well chuck it and get a legal framework in place, or else they're going to take my bloody court. Anyway, the Equities and Human Rights Commission investigated 69 suicides linked to the treatment of people by the Department of Work and Pensions, and that's what's brought this demand that they bring in a legally binding framework to ensure that there is no more persecution of the disabled and mentally ill claimants. And it's about bloody time too. Right, moving on. Tuesday here in Scotland, and the Alpha Party launched its manifesto for the council elections. The manifesto was launched in Dundee, and the Alpha Party are standing 100 candidates in the local elections. Now, their manifesto is called a manifesto to make life better. So what's in the manifesto? Okay, Mr Salmon wants to double the winter fuel payment. Nothing to do with council, central government, don't get it. Mr Salmon wants to cut energy costs by a third, reserved to Westminster. What the hell is that go to do with bloody council elections? Mr Salmon wants to give free access to sports facilities to the under-18s. Well, that is council stuff. Aye, that is council stuff. You know, councils run sports centres, leisure centres, community halls, libraries. They don't run energy companies. They're the central bloody government. Now, I'm not just angry at the Alpha Party with this one, because I'll read out the rest of what they've got here. I'm angry with Labour, Lib Dems, and the Tories. They're all lying through their teeth. Their manifestos are all on central government policies instead of on local issues. Council elections are about local bloody issues. So let's see what else is in the Alpha Party manifesto that has got bugger all to do with local issues. You know, they want to expand free meals to all school pupils. Well, that's a central government policy, but it's also the SNP policy. They're going to do that. They want to increase the Scottish child payment to £40. This is not a local issue, that's a central government issue. Wow. But as I say, this isn't just the Alpha Party. This is the Tories, Lib Dem and Labour that are all doing this. Is it just Davy that doesn't get this stuff? Why they're making promises on cutting energy costs when they're not in the UK Parliament and government? I mean, how can they offer to double the child payment in a council election to 40 quid? That's central government policy. You know, and they also want to give low-income households a £500 annual payment. Well, I don't think the councils will get the budget for that. I don't think the Scottish Government's get the budget for it, never mind the bloody councils. There is very little in this manifesto that's got anything to do with councils. And it's not just the Alpha Party. As I said, I'm not against the Alpha Party. But it would appear that Mr Salmon, like Mr Sarwar, like the stuffed shirt Cole Hamilton and the idiot Dross, have conflated local elections with Scottish general elections or UK-wide Parliament elections, because what's in the manifesto that was launched in Dundee, there's only one thing that can actually be delivered by a local councillor, and that's free access to sports centres for the under-18s. The rest of the manifesto is a load of pish. Now, either the Alpha Party, the Labour Party, the Lib Dems and the Tories are trying to mislead the bloody public, or they don't understand what sort of election this is. You know. And even the SNP and Greens who are in central government, they know that they couldn't cover the cost of what was being promised by the Alpha Party. No, as long as we're in a devolution settlement where we rely on the Barnett formula and money coming from the Treasury. None of this stuff that's been promised by Labour, the Alpha Party, the Lib Dems, especially on the energy crisis. Wow. People need to get their head wrapped around that this is a local election. At least Ross got that wee bit right the other day when he was trying to deflect away from what's going on down that road in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, when he was talking about this is about who runs the schools, this is about who fills the bloody potholes, this is about who runs the community centres, who runs the libraries, who runs the sports centres. This isn't about the cost of living crisis. No, even the Scottish Government, which consists of the SNP and Greens, have got a budget for what these people want to do and what these people are trying to sell to the Scottish public in a council election. As I say, this isn't an Alpha Party thing, that's all these bloody parties. They cannot fix the cost of living crisis for a council election. Cannot be done. They might be able to make sure your community centre opens a couple more times a week to keep your granny warm because you can't afford their electricity bill. But that's it. And anybody promising to give double the child tax, the child payment, or to give £500 to low-income families annually in a council election is misleading the public. And I mean misleading the public. And that goes for all the parties in Scotland who are making claims that they can fix the cost of living crisis in a council election. They're misleading the public. In fact, Davy might just have a wee word with the Electoral Commission about this, actually. And I mean report all the parties that are making promises they can't bloody well keep. All the parties that are trying to conflate national issues with local issues. They're supposed to have launched a manifesto which would get them elected into local councils. If Ian Leckenby wins in East Kilbride for Alpa, he's not going to be able to cut your electricity bill by a third. It's rubbish and it's misleading the public. And it's the same for anybody who's standing this election claiming that they can fix the cost of living crisis. They are misleading the bloody public. It would appear that misleading the public is what the politicians do these days. Right, let's move on. Right. Tuesday, let's move down that road to the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers and see what we're doing there, eh? Well, Tuesday, CEO of Scottish Power, Keith Anderson, tells the Business Energy Industrial Strategy Committee of the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers that energy costs are going to get right over the top. Mr. Anderson is fearful for his customers. He thinks his customers by the end of the year won't be able to afford to buy for electricity. Now, what Mr. Anderson tells the committee is that his company and all the big six, because that's all that's left, all the big six energy companies have been working hard with Ofgem to try and curb the cost of energy crisis. But what Mr. Anderson was doing was pleading to MPs for central government to intervene. Because he says that the energy companies themselves and Ofgem don't have the power to cap this. This is rampant profiteering. But what Mr. Anderson is pointing out is that the rampant profiteering is going to see his business go belly up. Because the cost of energy is going to get that high, nobody's going to be able to afford to bloody buy it. And that means his business model will bloody well collapse. So, Mr. Anderson of Scottish Power is pleading with central government to step in and get a grip. Right, also they're doing that road. And the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, the evil one, Priti Patel, comes to the House to justify the policy of exporting young men, asylum seekers, to Rwanda. Right? Now, she's in there explaining herself. There's questions being asked about human rights records in Rwanda. Where are these young men going to be shipped to? Apparently the plan's been on the table forever. They've already built facilities to ship these young men to. In fact, she was quite proud to say there was a cinema and a bloody pool table in it. Doesn't change the fact that it's a disgusting policy. And it breaks international laws on the rights to seek asylum. This carry on, they're going to send them to Rwanda for processing a lot of piss. They're not coming back. And that was made clear in the bloody Commons yesterday and all. It's a racist policy by the Probably delete. Right, but let's move on to Tuesday's main event, will we? Seeing time's getting on. Yeah. Tuesday evening, Bojo the Clown comes to the Commons to give his half-hearted bullshit apology, but in order to divert and make himself look good, he throws in a quick report on Ukraine at the end of it as well. And that gives his MPs something to stand up and pat in the back about and say, oh, we can't get rid of Bojo. Zelensky loves him. He's Zelensky's pal. Zelensky says Bojo's this, Bojo's that. When it comes to the war in Ukraine, who's driving the bloody ship down that road doesn't matter as long as they're steering in the same bloody direction. And another thing about this Ukrainians thing, standing up in the Commons and asking if to ensure that we keep sending heavy weaponry to Ukraine. Funny how that bloody magic money tree works for weapons. Yeah, we've got the CEO of Scottish Power pleading with the government to cap energy costs because people can't afford to turn the electricity on to cook and heat their houses. But plenty of our money to allow the Ukrainians to kill Russians. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is outrageous, and we'll get to that after the Bojo the Clown saga. But Bahrain people are going hungry. 25 million people, according to Trust with Trust, used the food bank last year. That's over a third of the bloody population. Granny's going to die freezing in the winter, but there's plenty of money to send bombs to Ukraine. Wow. Anyway, Starmer says to Bojo, hey Bojo, resign your git. Blackford said to Bojo, resign. Couple of MPs said to me resign and all. But Bojo isn't daft. He's refusing to say that he misled the House, so there's going to be a vote on it. A vote where he can whip his MPs who are the majority to say he didn't mislead the House. Well, he bloody well did. I've seen it with my own two eyes. The lying git. But it would appear that the slimy one, the dawn of the criminal cabal down that road, is going to survive because there's no funny sauce in the public purse. The slimy one. So, there you go. Ask my pal if I'm a liar vote to take place on Thursday. Hey, Bojo will be in India, where he's not going to get anywhere because Putin's selling India's cheap oil. But, as I say, that's it. Bojo's wriggled out of it. Lord Hennessy's correct. We're in a constitutional crisis of more than one type. And the ministerial code down that road's been bloody shredded. There is no honour amongst those thieves. None. There you have it. That's a Bojo saga. He's wriggled out of it so far. It will eventually bite him. Probably after the May elections. It was an unedifying thing to watch the Tory MPs stand up one after another to defend a lying, cheating, thieving git. The Tory party now is a criminal cabal. Right, let's head out to Ukraine and see what was going on there. Right, moving on to the latest in the Ukraine. Russia issues fresh ultimatum to the city of Mariupol. Putin's advance is slowed by poor logistics within his own forces. And Putin, plans to take the Donbass region. Alright, as offensive as moves southeast. The other thing Putin did was he told all Russian companies who are listed on stock markets around the world to delist. He's basically slapping his own billionaires. They're not just being sanctioned anymore by people out with Russia. Putin's now telling them to drag themselves back to Russia and to bring their money back with them. So there you have it. And But this is the thing, what is it Putin wants to achieve in the Ukraine? Because if the Donbass people wanted them there the way he claims, if the people in Luhansk wanted them there the way he claims, they wouldn't be fighting him so bloody hard. He would have rolled in and it would have been called a liberation. There wouldn't have been much the West would have been able to say about it. Because it would have been a wall of the people in these areas. But as it stands, even if Putin takes the Donbass and Luhansk regions, the people there don't want him there, so it's not going to be a successful occupation. So God knows what it is Putin thinks he's playing at. And there doesn't seem to be an off-ramp from it to get out of this one either. So this could be protracted. Could be. And here was me thinking it was going to be a sharp campaign because Putin wasn't doing well and he would attain the off-ramp that was afforded to him when he couldn't take Kiev. Mental. Absolutely mental. Okay, so that's the situation in Ukraine. Oh, by the way, the Americans and the UK are going to send plenty of hardware so that Ukrainians can try and push Putin back into his own borders. And it's also been reported that the Ukrainians have struck a couple of strategic bridges coming across the borders for Russia into Ukraine. Alright. So, a lot of questions about what Putin's after and no very many answers. Now, let's move on to this morning and see what the rags have got to say, will we? Because, as you know, Davy's trying to cut this programme down. But the sight of those Tory MPs sticking up for that Lazark in the Commons yesterday was unedifying, to say the least. Right, let's see what the rags have got to say this morning. Scotland's papers, PM apology and misleading statement probe. Aye, my arse. Right, the Metro has Boris's Commons apology. I'm truly sorry. PM, it did not occur to me that I broke my own COVID laws at Downing Street Bash. What a lot of crap. The Scotsman has. He drags everybody else down with him. Sir Keir Starmer offers furious response to Johnson's apology for illegal parties. Some Conservatives praise the humility of the Prime Minister for coming to apologise. And there's to be a vote which could force an investigation into Premier. No, there won't be. There's going to be a vote to see if he's to be referred to the Privileges Committee, who will then decide whether he's broke the ministerial code or not. Could save him a lot of time. He bloody well did. No honour in the man at all. Talk about humility, there's no humility or honour in the man. The Times has Tory MPs told to block inquiry into Johnson. That's what I'm just talking about. He's got a great majority, what majority there. So when the vote happens, the Tories will vote to save his skin. Save his skin. The Herald has, not worthy of being PM. Tories urged to oust Johnson after fine. No, they bloody well weren't they? I watched the unedified sight of them standing up and sticking up for the lying waste of space. He even went as far as to say you got COVID right, you got the vaccine rollout right, you got the Ukraine right. You get none of these bloody things right. The eye has Johnson not worthy of great office. It's not a great office at all. Great office. Maybe if you're an Englishman it's a great office. In your little England Parliament, which is corrupt and bent as a 9-bob note. And the National, what's the National got? MPs to vote on whether PM misled Parliament. Hold on, Davy will save him a bit of time. He bloody well did, I've seen it myself. Opposition parties secured the pay, but Johnson won't be there unless he cancels Indytruck. Tory leader heckled and urged to resign as he gives Partygate apology in Commons. His excuses have finally run out of road, and so must his time in office, says SNP's Blackford. The loony rag, the Express says, what a waste of time, so much more at stake. So the loony rag, right-wing rag, saying, move on, nothing to see here. It's alright for the PM to break the ministerial code, it's alright for the PM to break the law. Move along. It's not alright for him to quit. Seems to be it's alright for Brexit, it's alright for the cost of living crisis that's been created, it's alright for the amount of people that's died of COVID. Jesus Christ, the loony right-wing press doing that road, they're nuts. And they bring their crap up here and all. The Telegraph has Germany isolated as West sends heavy arms. And sit back and watch films at the wheel and driverless cars apparently. And Johnson flies to India ahead of Partygate vote. There you go, that's what the title of it. Right, Telegraph, that's what it's got. And where we go. The Scottish Daily Fail. It's it's way out of there. It doesn't want to get involved in the stooshy doing that road today, does it? It's road revolution. Watching TV and self-drive cars up to 37 miles per hour. So the Daily Fail, the right-wing loony rag, stays away from what's going on in Westminster altogether. And let's see what the Star's got to say for itself today, shall we? And the Daily Star of Scotland has soz, not soz. MPs to vote on whether Bojo lied. Let us save him the bother. He did. That's what I just said. And there's a picture of Bojo dressed as a Klingon in front of one of the daft wee signs that had the COVID slogans on them. And in this one it says, stay home and party, protect my sorry ass, save my skin, Klingon PM. The Star does it again. Well folks, that's what I've got for you today. That's my take on what's been going on down that road in the House of Thieves and carpetbaggers and what's going on in the very, very biased media here in Scotland. So I hope you found it entertaining, I hope you found it informative. And remember, if you've got political parties trying to tell you in these council elections, and I mean all political parties, if you've got political parties trying to tell you in these council elections that they can fix the cost of living crisis, just shut your door on the spanners and don't vote for them. Because it's a bloody lie. Misleading the public, as I say, seems to be the in thing in politics at the moment. But when it comes to the cause of Scottish independence, partisan politics in your pockets, learn your how you gonnies and get out there and win hearts and minds. Okay, support the independent media. And if they've got crowdfunders on the go and you've got a few shekels you can stick in a pot, then please do. And health messaging. Face coverings in enclosed public spaces, it's guidance now, it's no law, but it's guidance. Clean hands and surfaces regularly. When it comes to social distancing, use your napper. And keep testing if you run out of tests, and if you can afford to keep testing after that, do it. Alright, you lot have a good day. Davy's away to rage at the wind. Catch you all tomorrow.